I saw that our esteemed majority leader has just joined the call to kick off this next panel. And it's my honor to introduce him. If you don't know him, then I don't know what to tell you, because he's kind of a ubiquitous guy. He's out there in the community. He's been one of the foremost leaders in the House and certainly in the legislature. He represents District 11, which is right down the road from me here in Barelas, but he's got a big chunk of the North Valley and some of the older neighborhoods in Albuquerque. He's currently House Majority Floor Leader, but also has experience as chair of the Tax and Revenue Committee, and also on the House Commerce and Economic Development Committee. And he's just been such a force for change and for this model that we're all talking about. So I just want to ask you to join me in welcoming and thanking House Majority Floor Leader Javier Martínez.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, everyone. Good to see so many faces here from my other lives. I'm super excited for the upcoming session. As you know, we have been working hard diligently, and Eric gives me a lot of credit, but a lot of credit goes to him. I mean, he served in the legislature and was part of the movement to sort of shake the institution to its core, to begin that process of transformation. And I just happened to come a little bit afterwards, and Senator Hamblin, she comes a little bit after me, but we're all part of this of this dynamic of new leaders, diverse leaders from throughout the state who are coming into the legislature with new ideas, fresh ideas, a different approach, I think, to addressing the many problems that we know we face and that we have faced for a long time. In terms of the session, some of you might know, we will be in a virtual session, which is unfortunate because we were planning on having an all full out in-person session, but we've had to cut back. And I'm not entirely sure for the Senate, so I won't dive in too deeply there. But for the House, all of our committees will be conducted virtually. All of our floor sessions will be in person, but there'll be some hybrid for members who might be at risk or who might live with family who might be at risk. I'm glad to see that many of our partners are beginning to postpone or cancel their events and dinners. I just got another 3 emails this morning from large scale planned events that have been canceled or moved to another date. The building will be open to the public, so anyone who wants to come in and advocate can do so. However, you will have to show proof of being fully vaccinated, which now also includes a booster shot. We will have on-site testing, and the testing will actually be available for member staff and for people who come into the building, advocates and members of the public, which is helpful. I'm trying really hard to get one of those 2-hour PCR tests on site. I don't know if we can pull it off, but we're trying our best to make that happen. Mask requirements, of course, and probably more to your point and of interest to you will be the fact that you can participate in committee meetings through Zoom, and this is a place where I think the Senate is doing the same thing. So you don't have to show up in person to speak for or against a bill. You can do so through Zoom. And for those of you who participated in our Zoom session last year, I personally think it worked very well in both chambers. We had over 17,000 unique logins. These are individual people who showed up to the legislature virtually to advocate on behalf or in opposition to any piece of legislation. That is astronomical. That is great. And as far as I'm concerned, pandemic or not, we're going to keep that virtual option open, from now on. In terms of legislation and sort of some of our priorities, on the House side, we are working on a number of different bills, including the budget bill, House Bill 2, which is really the reason we're in Santa Fe for 30 days is the budget. And I'm proud that the budget has been crafted in a way that has been a lot more transparent than in the past, and in a way that is relatively aggressive. And what I mean by that is, for far too long, we've sort of pinched pennies and counted our beans. And I think that this budget specifically begins to break that mold. There is more work to do, of course, and we will continue that transformation in budget making for the time, for the time to come. But the budget that you'll see presented over the next couple weeks is something that I think we can all be proud of. House Appropriations and Finance is meeting as we speak, tying up some loose ends. And so there's still an opportunity to get more funding into places where you all might feel there is more needed. Main Street is a huge priority for me. And I'm working hard to get not only capital outlay, but also potentially some operational funds into that program, because I do think that it is transformative for communities that are trying to develop their own economic base in a sustainable and localized way. As an example, those are things that I think many of us will be working on. The House will also be working on COVID relief and economic recovery. There's so much to be done. And so we're working on a tax package that I think will help address some of those concerns and help in the recovery that we know will be here sooner rather than later, assuming we're at the tail end of the pandemic. And then last but not least, our legislature, especially over the last 2.5 sessions, is a different place. Speaking, with Senator Hamlin and her leadership in the Senate and the leadership in our House, look, you can connect with us almost immediately, almost instantly. It's a new day in Santa Fe. Not as many of those political games that have been played in the past on legislation, on priority bills, on things that we all know are the right thing to do, but you stifle it just because you can. Still happens. Don't get me wrong. It still happens, but not to the extent that it used to. And I'm just so proud and glad and honored to be a part of that movement. Again, a movement that precedes Senator Hamlin, that precedes me. A movement that really goes back to the days of Senator Eric Diego back in the day, and even before him, with some folks who were shaking the foundations of the institution. So I'll stop there. Thank you all so much for the opportunity to share a few words. Again, great to see so many of your faces, and I hope to see you in Santa Fe, either in person or on Zoom. Thank you.